Howdy math fans, test 15 lesson 6, grab your swords and let's go. Today we are going to multiply decimals, gather data in a variety of ways, and fill in a table of values from a given equation. Let's start by multiplying decimals. So the important thing to remember is that when you multiply decimals, the number of decimal places in the question will be the same as the number of decimal places in the answer. It's just like when you multiply zeros. So we've talked before about how if you're multiplying, say, 40 times 60, there's 2 zeros in the question, so there will be 2 zeros in the answer, and then 4 times 6 is 24. It's the same thing here. So I have 4.32 times 2 equals 864, and I need to put some decimals in there. So how many decimals are in the question? There's 2 here, none here, so there's going to be 2 in the answer, which means my decimal goes right there. Let's look at this next one. 2.4 times 1.7 equals 408, and I need some decimals. So again, in the question, I have 2 decimal places, so that means that in the answer, I need to have 2 decimal places. So now you take a quick look, pause the video if you want, and just see if you can figure out this one. 7.8 times 1.2 equals 936. Where should the decimal go? So again, in the question, I have a decimal place here and a decimal place here. That's 2 decimal places, so the answer should be 9.36. So not hard at all, as long as you just remember that it's the same as with the zeros. However many there are in the question, that's how many are going to be in the answer. So let's review some of the ways that we can gather data. So remember, what are the best ways to gather data? The best ways are to use a questionnaire, an interview, an experiment, an observation, or some database research. So pause the video here for just a second and see if you can remember, when would you use each of those things? What are they? So when you're going to use a questionnaire, that's usually when you need information from a large sample. So you have a lot of people that you need to ask about something. It would take you a long time to go and talk to them all, so you go and you give them a questionnaire to do it. An interview is when you need information about one event or person. So if you just need like 1 or 2, even 5 or 10 people, you could just talk to them about it and get your answers. An experiment is something you need special circumstances to observe. So what that means is you need to set up a controlled environment. You need someplace where things happen a certain way. Then you would want to do an experiment. Observation is something you can easily find out by watching. So it's something like an experiment, except that you don't really need to set anything up. This would be more like, how many kids are using the new playground at school? I can find that out just by watching. I don't need to set anything up. Whereas an experiment would be more like, if you leave a $10 bill in the middle of the hallway floor, how many kids will pick it up and take it to the office? How many kids will just keep it? Then I need to set up conditions. And database research is when you need a great deal of factual information that you can look up. So hopefully that was just review. And our last topic for today is filling in a table of values from a given equation. So here I'm asked to fill in the table of values from the rule 4r minus 2 equals p. So if I know that rule, I can take the value in r, let's sub it in. So 4r is the same as 4 times r, and in this case r is 1. So 4 times 1 minus 2 equals p. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 minus 2 equals p, which is going to be 2. Next one, I'll just switch colors. R is 2 now, so I'll sub it in. 4r, which is the same as 4 times r. R is 2 minus 2 equals p. 4 times 2 is 8, minus 2 is 6, which means p is 6. Uh-oh, now all of a sudden I've got p instead of r. I've got 18. So let's fill that in. We've got 4r minus 2 equals 18. So we know that we can work backwards. I know that 4r minus 2 is 18, so that means that 4r must equal 20. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, because 4r is going to be the same as 18 plus 2. So 4r must equal 20. 20 divided by 4 is 5, which means r must be 5. Same thing for this one. I have 38. I just made myself a clean space to work on there. So I have 38 for the next one. And that is going to be p. So that means 4r minus 2 equals 38. That means 4r must equal 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10, which means R is 10. Yay. And my last one is going to be 100, and this is in the R column. So 4 times R, which is 4 times 100, minus 2 equals P. 400 minus 2 is 398, so P is 398. And that's it. You just have to sub into the equation to solve. So now here's one for you to try. Fill in the table of values from the rule 2R plus 6 equals P. So pause the video here and give that a try, and when you come back, I will have the answer for you. So here's the first equation. I know that 2R plus 6 is P. I started with 1, so that means 2R, or 2 times R, and in this case R is 1, plus 6 equals P. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 6 is 8, so I should have an 8 here. If I do that for the next equation, I will get 2 times 2 is 4, plus 6 is 10. Now I'm at one where I have 12 there on the P column, so I know that 2R plus 6 is going to equal P, which is 12. I know that whatever 2R is, if I add 6 to it, I'll get 12, which means that 2R must be 6, because 6 plus 6 is 12. So 6 divided by 2, R equals 3. And I can do the same thing for 16. 16 minus 6 is 10. So what times 2 is 10? 5 is. And then for the last one, for the 10, that's in the R column again. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 6 is 26. So that's what your table should have looked like. And good news, we're done. So, review. Number 1, rewrite these equations with the decimal in the correct place in the answer. A is 2.3 times 4.08 equals 9384. B is 1.12 times 4 equals 448. Number 2, what would be the best way to find out the favorite color of every single person in the school? And 3, copy and complete the table of values according to the rule 4M equals N. That's it for me tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow.